Baseball fans, BetMGM is giving you the chance to win a prize every day during the baseball season. Step into the batter's box for BetMGM Swing for the Fences free-to-play game. Pick any area of the strike zone and take your best swing. If you get a single, double, triple, or home run, you'll receive a prize. Smash a home run to collect a bonus bet on us. Just log into your BetMGM Sports account to get started. Then visit your promotion section to access the Swing for the Fences free-to-play game. You'll score a prize if you hit a single, double, triple, or home run. There's nothing more exciting than going yard, so swing for the fences with the king of sportsbooks. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only, Iowa only. Existing customer offers subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards vary depending on market and expire 24 hours from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
It is a disturbing reality that child sex trafficking exists in our world. Many people think this unforgivable crime is isolated to the dark corners of the world, where law and order are in short supply. In recent years, it has come to light that this inexcusable offense is much more widely spread than was previously thought. During the 2016 United States presidential election cycle, an incident brought the idea that a ring of high-power politicians were using secret messages and symbols to organize a child sex trafficking ring. What ties did a Washington, D.C. pizza parlor have to the most despicable of crimes? Why were the reports not fully investigated by the FBI? What evidence supported these claims in the first place? Sit down with Zell, Braden, and Andrew as they discuss the Pizzagate conspiracy.
Okay, welcome to Alien Theorists Theorizing, Case File 74. A ring of kitty diddlers.
Oh shit!
Just a fair warning. We're going to talk about some sensitive subjects. So if you're easily offended, maybe skip this one.
See, what I'm glad is right off the bat, you guys are sending out a warning, because when I got told we're going to be discussing Pizzagate, you know what I mean? I get ready, I get hunkered down to do some research, and I'm ready to go. And I'm like, so
you're like fucking cowabunga.
Well, yeah, I'm like, fucking, what kind of space pizza are we learning about today? Like, is this something to do with Stargate sending pizzas through? Like, what the fuck is this? And then just it went dark real quick. I was shook. I still am a little bit shook, but
Some weird shit.
oh man,
Some weird
horrible
shit.
First things first, let's get into some space news.
What do you got?
This is from, I gotta pull up who sent me this, because anyone who sends me space news, I'll give them shout outs now, rather than just passing it off as my own. This was from Luke8230. He said, China is planning a probe or a lunar landing on the dark side of the moon.
Aliens.
So, yeah. So that's it's legit. You can look it up. China has planned it. Hopefully,
Wait, was that manned? Was that manned or droned?
Droned, not manned.
Droned, not manned. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're not allowed to. Man is not allowed to go back.
Yeah, man cannot go back to the moon.
And then what else we got for space news? Space news. Oh, for fuck's sakes, man! I'm using the worst setup of all things here. NASA approves load and go fueling for SpaceX commercial crew launches. So basically, NASA passed that SpaceX has passed enough tests. The Falcon 9 can just land at the Space Center, load up, drop off, and peace out. They don't have to sit there to do the checks that other spaceships have to do. They go through a bunch of checks. Basically, they figure it'll be a 35-minute turnaround from docking, loading, unloading, to leaving. So kind of cool.
Cool.
Things are picking up there. What else I got here? Nope, that's a bad one.
Negative.
Fucking iPads, man. iPads are the worst.
Well, if I got a quick one here adding to the Space Force.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
One of the first things they're going to be doing, I guess, Lockheed Martin's awarded a $2.9 billion contract to replace their anti-missile satellites up in space. So, I don't know.
I didn't even know they had anti-missile satellites already. That's insane.
Oh, I'm sure they've had them since that's probably some of the first satellites to go up.
So did they like shoot lasers or what?
No, they're just I think they just detect like missile launches from Russia and China or wherever else they have a alleged.
It sends a signal back to Earth.
Yeah, it's like
and
the early detection, I guess, is like
Okay.
I don't know. They're upgrading them. 3 new ones.
I like the idea of lasers better.
Well, I mean
like just some type of Death Star type laser that just fucking
just blows
shoots
them
a
right out of
green
the
laser,
sky.
Boom. Eyes
Bam.
closed. America.
Fuck yeah.
Fucking right.
Prime the lasers.
Right.
Basically, Canada's been on fire. All of British Columbia has been on fire for the past couple of weeks. The fires have gotten so bad that you can see the smokes from British Columbia from NASA satellites. NASA posted some crazy smoky satellite images from space where you can clearly see just smoke everywhere.
It's cool that they can see that because us here can't even see 10 feet in front of us.
Man,
It's fucking ridiculous.
I drove Kelowna to Calgary to play a show. The whole way was this smoky.
It's
Like
fucking
just
nuts.
thick, disgusting
You
smoke.
can't see any. You can't see the mountains. You can't see shit. Like it is crazy.
And you actually when I came inside, I kind of smelled myself. I smell like campfire just from being out
Oh,
on
totally.
the outside. It's insane.
No, I've we've gone to a few rugby practices, and it feels like you're like swallowing razor blades. Like I fucking think.
Any type of exertion just destroys your throat.
I know it's fucking gross.
It's good up here in the north. Blue skies right now. It's nice.
Is there? Isn't Prince George there was a picture of Prince George yesterday or the day before. The sky was black at 3 p.m. Like the street lights were on.
Insane. It looked like it when it was eclipse.
Yeah, so weird.
The smoke is so bad. Up here, no issues. Clear. I can see if I look at my horizon, I can see a smoky horizon. Oh, I'm in God's cradle, I guess.
God's crit. Yeah.
Anything? You guys got any other quick space news?
Negative. I can't see past the tree line, so
Yeah.
there's been no space watching going on.
All right. Well, I got the new segment here. Well, he sneaks around the world from Kiev to Carolina. He's a sticky-fingered filcher from Berlin to Belize. He'll take you for a ride on a slow boat to China. Tell me where in the world is Mr. Conspiracy? He's in Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam.
How's he liking it?
He's liking it better than Cambodia. He recently signed up for Instagram, so follow his Instagram at Mr. Conspiracy ATT. He's been posting pics of his travels.
And getting beaked at the same time already.
Get beaked, yeah. I like someone who's like, I really dislike you. And he's like, the feeling's mutual. Andrew, you before we get into the new case file of the week, you had a story you wanted to tell us. Why don't we get to that first?
Oh yeah. Here, just another.
Happened to a friend of a friend.
Yeah, happened to a friend of a friend, and I'm just gonna put myself in this situation because it's easier to talk about, right?
Much easier.
So this happened about 2 weeks ago. It's a Friday night. Not gonna say the exact date, because you might not believe me, but it was a Friday night. We get called to a potential overdose, and you know what I mean. Let's just say this is in Kelowna, in the downtown area. Can neither confirm nor deny if it is in Kelowna. And we pull up to this house. Dispatch comes on. They're like, "Hey, listen, we don't have. There's no fire available. No firefighters are available. They like to send cops to us too for these overdoses in
Right.
sketchy areas with history." And they're like, "We don't have any police available either." I'm like, whatever. It's okay. We're a couple. My partner, he's a pretty big dude. You know what I mean? I'm like, "Oh, we'll be safe. We'll be fine." So we pull up to this house, and it's like, and we get out. There's people in the front yard just sitting on lawn chairs drinking 40s, and music's pumping from the house, and all the windows are kind of boarded up, and you're like, wow, this place looks like fucking post Katrina, just fucking gross, right? It's like a dog walking by on the grass, just dragging his ass, it was bad, right? So we're like, okay, so hey guys, where are we going?
I love
They're
I
like,
love how that's our staple of a bad neighborhood in any story is if there's a dog dragging ass.
there's a
We're
dog
in a
just
bad
dragging his
spot.
ass, you know what I mean?
You can't take care of your dogs. It's a bad neighborhood.
Oh, fucking right, right? And nobody even seemed to give a shit of that, like, you know, there's a potential overdose happening or whatever, right? Like, nobody looked that concerned. So I'm like, okay, this is a fucking bullshit call probably, right? So guy opens the door, we walk in, and there's people standing on either ends of the staircase, and you go up, and there's like just big plumes of smoke, and like, it wasn't really, I don't think there was a strobe light, but it was, you know what I mean? It was weird, right? Like, and you're kind of just trying to get people out of the way, and okay, where are we going? They're like, oh, in the bedroom over there. So we go in, and this guy's cracked out looking girlfriend's kind of like standing there being like, he's not breathing. We're like, okay, calm down, you know? And from what we could see, he's kind of crumpled up on the bed. And you walk in this room and there's just glass all over the ground, glass everywhere, broken mirror, the window's broken. And that's why there's a big board up on the window and there's spray paint all over the walls. It's just the weirdest thing. So I'm like, yeah, can you turn on the light, please? Like asking questions about the patient, doing a quick exam. And on a quick exam, it looks like a typical narcotic overdose, right? Like he's in respiratory arrest, like he's apneic. He looks a little blue. You're like, okay, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, we'll start bagging this guy, giving him artificial respirations. You know what I mean? Check his pulse, and I'll get my partner, you know, drop some Narcan, you know, naloxone. That's kind of our drug, our antagonist.
Counteracting drug.
Yeah, it's our antagonist to the opioid. And as I'm kind of like, you know, checking this guy's vitals, I'm trying to rouse him a bit, right? Like give him a nice little sternal rub. And he kind of moves a bit. So I was like, oh shit, okay, maybe it's not, you know, maybe it's not a complete, it's not that bad. So do a set of vitals, and it turns out he is breathing on his own, just shallowly. And you know what I mean? His oxygen saturation levels are just a little bit below normal. So I'm like, you know what? No big deal. We'll get some oxygen on him. We'll try and rouse this guy. You know, and people keep opening the door and we're like, hey, stop. Right. And the music's just fucking blaring. And I don't know why, but it's just stuck in my head. It was like, sounded like, you remember that old song Sandstorm?
Yeah.
You know, like that's on.
You were at a Blade party?
It feels like it, man. Like, so I'm trying to yeah, I know. I'm like, it's weird. It's like, is this the fucking 90s here? Like, well, no, seriously. Like, so the song's building, right? The song's building. And I'm pumping up the blood pressure cuff. He's got oxygen on him. We're holding off on the Narcan for now because he's breathing on his own. And I'm about to get a blood pressure cup. And he opens his eyes and we're like, oh, hey, buddy, like you're safe. Like, you know, we're the paramedics. And he's like, is he still here? Is he still here? I'm like, well, no, calm down, man. I'm like, it's all good. Everybody in the rooms, you're safe. Like, it's fine. He's like, no, you don't understand. Is he still here? I'm like, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Like, just calm down. And then, like, I swear, like within seconds of the drop in the song, you know what I mean, where it kicks in the techno, I get these two arms underneath both my armpits and I get driven through the fucking drywall in this house. Like fucking
get out.
Within seconds, this guy's got me in the air and through the drywall, and he's not even a big dude, right? And I have no time to react. So not only is there a little bit of piss dripping down my leg, my partner's like looking at me like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I don't know. So my partner jumps on his back, starts wrestling him, and I'm trying to wrestle this guy down. And people are opening right? And I'm going, like, this guy tosses me fucking over his dresser. My partner's on him. I jump on him and we're wrestling with this guy, which seems like a fucking eternity. Like, probably was like 2 minutes, felt like fucking like 40 minutes. And this entire time, people are opening the fucking door and being like, oh shit, closing it, right? Like, you know what I mean? And like the cops come and we're like, thank fucking God. Didn't really change much. There's 2 RCMP officers and me and my partner full on, like in full fight mode with this guy, trying to restrain this. You know what I mean? So then I get on my mic as we're wrestling this guy because we got a little bit of help. And the only way to really deal with these type of people, because you like anybody on any type of like stimulant drugs are at a really high risk for cardiac arrest, right?
Heart's just going. Their
heart's just pumping like fucking crazy. So it's really not safe just to handcuff them and take them, right? And not only that, the cops couldn't get handcuffs on this guy. This guy was fucking ragdolling 4 grown men. Like right. So I'm on my mic calling for the advanced life support paramedics, which they sedate people. They have, you know what I mean? They have sedatives. So I'm like on the mic being like, hey, can we get, like 41 or 40 alpha here, like code 3, please? Like trying to be nice and calm. And they come flying in 5 minutes later and they're like, yeah, we knew we needed to hurry because we could hear the guy fucking screaming on the radio. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so whatever. We've got this guy kind of like at a crucifix, right? And I'm on one of his arms. My partner's on one of his arms and the cops are on his legs. And we're got him like, just like, you know what I mean, pinned down on this bed while they're drawing up the meds to inject him, right, to sedate him. And I'm like looking around on his walls, you know what I mean, and I'm reading what the spray paint says, and like I fucking swear in clear writing, like it was spray paint, so really not that clear, I guess I should say. I could have sworn I could make out Grinning Man.
Oh, get the
Like-
fuck out of here.
Like Grinning Man, like the face of Grinning Man?
No, the word grinning
Grinning
man,
Man?
grinning man. And this guy, he's sitting there and he's mumbling, and you can kind of hear what he's saying.
Is
and
he
it's
still here?
And he's asking, he's like, he's still here. And as we're fucking kind of just we're injecting him with the midazolam, the sedative, he's like kind of dozing in and out, and he's like, why is he smiling? Why is he
Weird.
smiling? And I'm pinning this guy's arm down, right? And this isn't even the scariest part, because this was the most emasculating thing I've ever experienced. He's like, you know what I mean? You guys are my friends. You know me. Everybody listening doesn't know me, but I'm not a very big guy, but you know what I mean? I work out a lot. I'm pretty strong for
what?
yeah, I'm a strong guy. And this guy that I'm holding down is not even that big. And I'm holding his arm, and I'm almost like saddling his fucking arm too, right? Like as I'm pinning it down with my arm, I'm almost saddling it. And he's kind of dozing in and out, and he like turns over and looks at me, and he's like, why is he grinning? And he lifts his fucking left arm up with me on it.
He
Like a
curled you?
bicep curl, man. Like just fucking lifting me, and I'm like, oh my God, we're in trouble.
Jesus.
Guys up. It's fucking Benny Hill music's playing. We're chasing this guy around the room trying to fucking get him down. Usually it takes us between 5 and 10 milligrams of this certain drug, midazolam, to sedate people.
Yeah.
It took us 45.
Get the fuck. I get some demonic strength or something.
No, well, here's the kicker. We get him in the hospital. No idea. Show up the next day. I go check in the hospital. I go check in with the nurses. I'm like, so what ended up happening with that guy? And they're like, no idea. Absolutely no idea. His talk screen, everything came back negative.
No
And I'm
drugs?
And I'm like, where the fuck is he now? She's like, he's in psych, and he's like the most polite, nicest person you'll ever meet.
What?
And you can see this little psych holding room when you go down to this hospital, when you're walking by it. And we were walking back from the emergency department to go back to the ambulance, and I could just see him kind of like head cocked with a big smile on his face, just kind of like looking out the window. And I'm like, full body shivers.
What?
Isn't that fucked?
That is
Isn't that
fucked.
fucked?
So he just had some type of superhuman strength. He pretty much curled you then.
He didn't get me all the way up off the ground, but
You could
he's
feel
like,
him,
oh yeah,
Like he
oh,
was
fuck
putting
yeah.
some fucking pressure on.
Oh yeah, and I'm pushing down.
Like if you were any weaker, he might have just overpowered you with one arm.
The only way I got his arm back down is I like put him in an arm bar, pretty much. I had to.
Crazy.
It was fucked, man. And like, I don't know. It was just weird. Maybe I hit my head hard when he put me through the fucking drywall and was hearing things. But I swear to you, I saw on that wall Grinning Man.
Weird.
I know. I kind of want to go back to that place and like look around and see, but obviously you can't. Anyways, that's my story.
That's crazy.
Fucked up.
Happened to a friend of a friend.
Exactly. That's the story that I heard from people. That definitely didn't happen.
Andrew,
to me.
you'll like this. Something started naturally the last time we were recording. A couple of people just randomly started. We were like, oh, ask us anything. And they'd like go to ask us weird questions on Instagram and shit. And they started just naturally saying hashtag asking for a friend.
Yeah, really. That's awesome. That's
So
funny.
now that's our new thing is hashtag any weird question, hashtag asking for a friend, of course.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. Well, Zell, should we fire up the Randomatron X3?
Load it up.
All right. Fire it up right now.
Cryptids.
Oh, cryptids! Let's see what's pulling up. Do we have a... That's the printer. Whoosh, whoosh. All right.
Everyone can tell it's a perfect sound effect.
That is really good. Actually.
Ooh, Bigfoot.
Ooh, El Nasty.
This is the fall, November 24th, 2017, in Missouri, in Mayors County. November 24th, 2017. Two of us were coyote hunting at night on our property. My friend was sitting at the end of the field in a hunting blind, and I was going to walk to the edge of the woods towards him to try and kick up some coyotes. While walking up, I could hear something walking down the woods below me. Appearing to keep up with my pace, I thought it might be coyotes. So I whistled to my friend. He whistled back, and then whatever was in the woods below me also whistled. I picked up the pace. Due to that kind of freaked me out. Twice I whistled. Twice something in the woods below whistled. I was close to the hunting blind by then and picked up my friend. We went to the other side of the field quickly, got back to our vehicle. When driving back to my house, we crossed the creek, and as we pulled into the field right below our house, there it stood. At first, the headlights were not on it, and I was trying to figure things out in my head of what possibly could be the big... this isn't me reading, this is the bad spelling of the story. What possibly could be the big of a creature on our property. It was about 60 yards below our barn. When my headlights hit it, the creature stood there for less than a minute. My friend and I both got a good look at it. It had long, shaggy hair. Its eyes reflected orange. Its arms were attached at its shoulders.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, that's
This is
terrifying.
our breakthrough of the case.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh.
Its arms were attached.
You could
at
stop
the
there and I'd be
shoulder.
terrified.
Wow. Riveting. Where else would they be fucking anything? You know what? You could just deleted that sentence, whoever wrote this, and left that out because that's what I imagined. If it was coming out of anywhere else, then you could have added it into the story. It stood 7.5, 8 feet tall. It looked at us and then, not in a hurried way, turned around and walked back into the cedar thicket. Our border collie took off after it, and we grabbed our guns and headed towards where it went back into the woods. Our dog came back rather quickly. And we did not go much further because it was gone. This was late at night, but the next morning when my dad went out to do the feeding, the goats are usually very skittish, but that morning they hugged around his feet and would not let him away from them. We had not told my parents about what we saw the night before because they were in bed when we got back. When my mom walked out of the other side of the house that morning, she made the comment, wondering what a horrible smell on that side of the house. 2 evenings later, my parents were putting Christmas lights on the house, and something to the right side of the house, down in the woods, let out a long, long squall. I don't really know what a squall. I think that's a squall.
Sounds about right.
Then the coyotes started yelping on the left side of the field. And then another squall from the right side was heard. And the horses came running to the house. It was not the coyotes squalling. The horses have never been afraid of coyotes. They yelp every night. My parents were both a little on edge with what they heard. My dad has lived in the house for 30 years and is an avid outdoorsman, but never had heard anything like that. Since that night, there have been 2 more sightings within a mile from the first sighting. One sighting was when my friend was headed home and had our border collie with him. He was passing an abandoned home with an open area right across the road. Our dog started going nuts, trying to get out of the window. He slowed down and looked at it. It was on all fours, about 15 yards off the road in an open area between 2 junk vehicles. When he stopped, it stood up and then quickly went into the woods. See, I would like to know, was it on all fours and ran on all fours into the woods, or stood up and ran? Because I was like, as soon as you say all fours, I think bear.
Yeah.
The next morning, my dad, myself, and my friend went back to check out the area. We found where it had been standing, but it was on grass and just smashed down. It was raining when he saw it, but the area is grassy and not muddy. The night after the second sighting, seeing it between two abandoned vehicles, my friend came back and picked me up, and we attempted to find the path that it had taken. When we traveled through the woods, down to a cave, the smell was rotten. We looked around with flashlights, but we never did see anything again. That's the end of the Bigfoot story.
Interesting.
Missouri, 2017. Sorry, because like the first time, it's like, okay, yeah, maybe you saw something. But then as soon as you say all fours, I'm like, As soon as someone says all fours, I lean to bear. And you're just too far away and your imagination plays some tricks.
Interesting.
But that's the
cryptid case of the week.
Cryptid case of the week. All right. Well, we don't have Dan here, so Zell, you gonna summarize? I'm gonna after we talk about Pizzagate, I'm gonna take you on a little journey.
Please.
I got some stuff I've been researching.
Take us on a magic carpet ride.
Yeah.
Show us a whole new word.
Similar to Pizzagate, but
Same but different.
Same but different. Exactly.
Yeah, the whole Pizzagate thing. It all started about a month before the 2016 election.
Convenient.
With those hacked emails from WikiLeaks between Hillary Clinton and John Podesta and others. And a handful of those messages pretty much contained weird, like cryptic, not even cryptic, just like weird, like seemed like coded messages almost that didn't really make sense between conversation between two adults via email.
There's absolutely no way that it's not code for something.
It's something. It's got to be.
We can't. Well, they don't make sense if it's not code for something. There's some of these emails. There's no explanation that it's obviously has to be code.
So okay, the whole thing started with these emails. So Andrew, do you have a couple of the craziest ones you want to just read to people?
Well, I don't like. I can say like just you know what I mean? Why we think they're codes. You've got stuff like between two people. Like, I'd love to get a pizza for an hour.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like, what, like that doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean?
Two
Like,
adults don't say that.
No,
Two adults don't say that.
There another one said
I want to get a pizza for an hour.
Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense. And then like I was reading another one that said the realtor found a handkerchief with a map on it that seems pizza related.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
The whole email is that seems pizza related. Is it yours? They can send it if you want. I know you're busy, so feel free not to respond if it's yours or you don't want it. Then back from John Podesta to Susan Sandler. I'm not sure who this Susan Sandler is, but it's mine, but nothing to worry about. That one doesn't seem that one too crazy, but it's just like a weird.
Well, yeah, and there's stuff like
has a map pizza related.
Well, yeah, and stuff like you know what I mean, like mentioning Obama's name and being like there was a shipment of some odd 1,000 pizzas and hot dogs to the White House, and it's like well that White House isn't bringing food like that in because it's a security risk. And then
what the fuck? Yeah, it's so fucking weird, man.
And the weirdest thing about this too is, okay, so we know that they're talking in code, and one way that like it's been proven that these words have been interpreted with have been pedophilia rings.
Yeah.
Right. And like it's a known fact. Well, it's a known fucking fact to me now. Unfortunately, I wish I didn't know this, but now I do. That like, for instance, hot dog is code for a boy. Pizza is code for a girl. Cheese pizza is code for a little girl. Pasta is code for a little boy. Walnuts are code for brown boys. So I'm a walnut.
You're a walnut.
I'm a walnut. Yeah. And these words are used completely out of context. That you know what I mean. That they've uncovered. Just
on a quick side note about that fucking creep John Podesta. So one of our fans on Instagram was like, "Oh, hey, you guys are doing Pizzagate. This is kind of related, but like, apparently some people like got some audio from some like pedophilia videos of John Podesta, and it's just an audio file of him singing the Caillou theme song.
Oh my fuck!
And there's like and it's terrifying, and you can hear like a kid in the back being like stop, like I'm like screaming, I'm just a kid, and he's like singing the Caillou theme song, and it's actually fucking terrifying.
Well, to be granted,
fucking terrifying.
I would be telling him to stop too because I remember that theme song. It fucking sucked. That show was the worst.
Yeah,
remember that show? Fuck. But yeah, like it's these Podesta brothers, just like, not only do we have these emails, but like we have a lot of other stuff that we can go into. We're going to go into detail about that. Just paint these guys as shady, and at the very least would you know what I mean? Would warrant some type of deeper investigation into these fucking weirdos, because there's too many for this to be just, you know, like happenstance, like, you know what I mean, circumstantial. There's way too much shit behind this, and yet there have been absolutely no investigations into these guys. Like absolutely nothing. It's fucked. Doesn't make any sense.
The main story is this was a fake news story drummed up by the internet, and there is no connection between a place called Comet Ping Pong and Pizza,
I got a lot about that fucking
Podesta, or anyone else alleged in these emails to be involved in some type of, if nothing else, some type of shady coded wording of something.
If this was anybody else, if this was me, you, anybody else that
Be
had this, we'd be in fucking jail. You know what I mean? You got a picture on your phone that you got from a fucking another girl when you were underage and she was underage, and that picture's still on your phone, and you're you know what I mean? That's child pornography.
Yep.
Right? And you would go down for that.
Could do.
You know what I mean? Like it's fucked that this, I don't know. Like
it's weird that there's just it was just brushed aside like it was nothing at all. And because they say they have no relationship between Comet Ping Pong and Podesta, but then when you go through the emails, dozens and dozens of things relating to Comet Ping Pong, which is just a pizza joint / ping pong shop.
A mom and pop pizza place. Like not like a Chuck E. Cheese chain. It's like mom and pop.
In Washington, D.C., you know, owned by normal people.
Owned by GQ's ranked 49th most powerful person in Washington.
Right? The owner of...
All he fucking is a owner of a pizza place, but yet he's the 49th most powerful person in Washington.
James Elefantis is his name, and he owns Comet Ping Pong and a few other establishments just around that area. And people from the Democratic Party, Obama, Clinton, all these people have been to his thing. They've hosted fundraisers and parties.
Donated to him.
Donated to this guy.
$22,000.
He runs a ping pong / pizza shop.
So on these emails, not only are they mentioning stuff like different types of pizzas, hot dogs, you know what I mean, in the complete wrong context, weird shit like that. There's mentioning multiple occasions of spirit cooking. Have you ever heard of spirit cooking before?
Some type of fucking
dark
magic, kind of like
it's like the weird sex rituals.
It's kind of like a Crowley thing.
Yeah, they do these weird rituals where they paint with like semen and blood and spit, and like many famous people have been tied to this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like celebrities, all that type of stuff. And it's the person that like I guess founded is that her. I'm gonna butcher her name, but Marina Abramovic.
That's pretty good, I think.
You know what I mean? And what she's famous for, you know, art. Right. And then she hosts these spirit cooking.
Weird art.
Yeah. Really weird art. Like things like art. She's painting pictures of cannibalism. You know what I mean? Children in weird situations that, you know, might
questionable.
Yeah. Like construed as kind of in the pedo type, you know what I mean?
Could easily be interpreted as some type of pedophilia.
Totally. So, and then she hosts these famous parties where, you know what I mean? Like they have food that's made to look like people. They eat the food off of people's naked bodies.
You mean, what do you mean? What do you mean to like Fusilli Jerry?
But okay, so whatever. Spirit cooking, fucking weird. And the Podesta brothers are known to have a lot of art from this lady already, right? They're
fans.
Been seen. They're big fans of this lady. This one I found really weird too, because it originally caught my attention because, like, I don't know if you guys read Watchmen or seen it.
I've seen it, yeah.
One of the bad guys in Watchmen, his name's Moloch, the wizard, the dark wizard guy.
Yeah.
So in one of these emails, they mention being like, "Hey, it's written to Hillary Clinton. She's like, I sacrificed a chicken in my backyard for Moloch." Right, and not only is Moloch this bad character in Watchmen, but I guess he's an ancient Canaanite god that's associated with children's sacrifice. And chicken.
Listen, normal people don't send these kind of emails.
Fuck no. You know what I mean?
And never have I been like, hey, Andrew, as a joke, let me send you this email. Like, hey, man, I just fucking murdered a chicken in my backyard for fucking...
Moloch.
For Bacab.
Yeah,
yeah, you know what I mean? You don't. You don't. It's you can't construe that as an inside joke to me between two fucking elderly politicians.
It's just...
You know what I mean? Like,
it's too fucking weird, man. It's too fucking weird.
And if it's like some type of weird humor, like some like, college time humor between these politicians, like where do they come up with why Moloch? Out of all like the ancient gods and anything you could find from Dungeons and Dragons or anything.
Or
if
Watchmen.
it's some weird fucking college humor, you would think that you'd be like, all right, here's the backstory of this inside joke. That would be better than having people be like, you're sacrificing kids or raping kids. Like, and they don't. They're like, no, just forget about it. Like, it's all good.
And another weird thing too is, okay, so you know how there hasn't really been any whistleblowers yet, and most of this investigation has been spearheaded by people, right? Like independent people. And now there was a little bit of like I couldn't exactly. I've read some sources that say this article was tweeted like within days of the leak, right?
Oh yeah, it took off on social media.
Yeah. But this took off on social media. I guess the FBI released a declassified document on how to decode and spot like hidden language for pedophiles within days of this coming out. Like just randomly. Yeah, we're going to tweet this out.
Before or after this came out?
After this came out.
So it's like, yeah, this is...
You know what I mean? And that document is full with all this fucking pizza shit and hot dogs. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
It's very...
Coincidence? I don't know.
All the words like if you look at it as a pedophilia thing, all the words match up, and the weird way to like weird coded messages between in email. I don't know.
There's no doubt in my mind that this is code.
Code, for
now,
sure.
Are we stuck on pedophilia because that's the whole basis behind Pizzagate? Could it be drugs? Could it be something? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But with the major players involved, with these major players like Podesta, and then we're going to get to Elefante in a bit, like, you got to fuck it. It is just, these guys are screaming fucking NAMBLA memberships. You know what I mean? Like, you think these are man-boy lovers. Like,
it's not a hard conclusion to draw.
No, like all you got to do is look at that. It's private now, but look at James Elefante's fucking Instagram.
Okay, let's go down just James Elefantis. Right before this Pizzagate thing happened, and he made his account private and like restricted, people grabbed all these pictures off his Instagram.
Screenshot. You can still find them.
You can still find them. They're all over. They're not hard to find. Of weird, first of all, weird comments on pictures of young children. Weird pictures of like girls with like their arms taped up to a table and they look happy, and you can tell like whatever that is just weird. Maybe, I don't know why you tape girls' hands to the table.
As a professional, and now not only is this is fucking Johnny Comment. This is the Instagram account that's attached to your professional place. This is your professional business, and you have kids taped up.
You don't see Papa. You don't have to see Papa John with some kids tied in a trunk of a car on his Instagram.
No, he did gotten some shit for some stuff about hating black people or something, but you know what I mean? Like, this is fucked.
And you know what the debunking of it is? He publicly admitted that to the pictures, but he claimed that they're all of kids he knew. It had nothing to do with kids from the pizza shop. They're kids of family and friends, and they've been misinterpreted. But then you read some of the comments on the side of them.
Oh, born to fuck and all
like
this
weird shit.
What in the butt?
I didn't see that.
People are commenting like what in the butt and murder room and stuff. And like, so like, not only that, you know what the fucking profile picture for his Instagram account was?
What is it?
It's a Greek god, Antinous. And this Greek god like is fucking known for being being a pedophile. Right? And okay, I get it. Back in the day in Greece, there was a lot of this shit going on, but like his like godly feature was the fact that he loved little boys, and that's his fucking profile picture.
And there's weird shit like that. There's one picture of a baby just sitting on a hammock. Jimmy Comet tags it or messages on it, comments on it, whatever. Why does Daddy like butt?
So fucked up.
Like why?
Do you know what? You know what the slogan? You know what Comet Ping Pong and Pizza slogan is? Play, eat, drink. PED.
From that same FBI document, they said like these rings and like secret like organizations will use these type of like abbreviations in their words to kind of like signal to other pedophiles that that's part of it.
Okay, now this is weird. This is really fucking weird. Take your phone and go to Google Translate and write and go from English. We want to go from English to French. Okay?
English, French.
Google Translate.
Yeah.
Google Translate.
And now don't play it, but just read what it says. Okay. So go into English and type the
Yeah,
words
English.
in English. Type the word "I like children" and look what it translates to.
Hold on. Don't. I want it to reveal at the same time.
Okay.
Oh, hold on.
to French.
Yeah.
I'm doing it real time. Get out.
Isn't that not fucked up?
Hold on. Real time.
Isn't that fucked?
Uh,
That's fucking weird.
Did you get it,
man.
Braden?
I type in "I like children" in English.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then to translate it to French.
Oh my god! Get the
Isn't that
fuck
fucked?
out of here,
Right? Like, what the fuck?
What a strange coincidence that is.
It's so fucked up, man.
dude?
Like,
J'aimais les Elefantes. James
And
Elefantes.
what's this guy's name?
James
James Elephant.
Elefantes. And
Elefante
French,
or-
I like children is J'aimais les Elefantes or Elephants or something like that. But
Listen, okay,
it's
there's
similar
there's
enough.
a coincidence, but when you're starting to get a handful of coincidences already, there's something fucking there.
something weird. Something weird's going
Now,
on.
I will go ahead and say this. I will say this. The actual pizza parlor, Comet Pizza, people argue that there's like nothing went on there. And I don't necessarily think that was necessarily allocation. I think he just owns it, and that's where he flaunts it, and maybe that's where they use code, because that's a huge point of contention. They're like, that's just a family pizza place, but it doesn't mean like they could be when they refer to like the pizza like Planet Ping Pong, they could be referring to him, like in that.
Totally.
Like we need to go to him
Totally.
to get pizza.
Totally.
To get pizza,
There's
right?
just
and that's just the code.
so, and this is just Elefante. Like, you go back and you look at the Podesta brothers, and this is stuff that they're not even trying to fucking hide. Like, they show off their art.
In their house.
They have John Podesta has a fucking statue in his house of a body in the exact same position that Jeffrey Dahmer used to murder his fucking victims, with their
Arms behind, arched back.
on their knees with no fucking head. He has a statue of that.
Coincidence.
It's fucking
Just coincidence.
He's got crazy amounts of art from this lady named Kim Noble. Okay, now this Kim Noble lady depicts in her pictures all fucking whacked out, satanic, pedo, culty shit, right? Like fire, kids, burning, like just whacked out shit. And she's known to suffer from dissociative identity disorder, right? Which is super common in people who suffer from PTSD, particularly people who suffer from childhood traumas.
Right.
So people with dissociative identity disorder have different personalities for all their
Oh,
people.
All the fragments, yeah.
And her one personality that paints, she's only got one personality that paints this way.
Right.
And the Podesta brothers own all the painting from that fucking person, like that.
From that persona.
that persona. Isn't that fucking weird?
Start,
you know
Like,
why?
normal
It's
people
because
don't
she
have this
paint-
shit.
She paints in like her trauma, and they know what it is.
And
Like.
then, you know what? There's another really weird one, but I haven't looked up any theories. I haven't been able to find any theories on it. I was going to ask you guys if you heard. But have you heard of that one where it's a portrait of himself, and he's standing there with his palms up, and one hand he's got the number 14, and the other hand he's got a fish.
no.
Oh, fucking weird, man.
What is that supposed to signify?
No idea. That's why I was trying to find. Like, I was going to ask you guys to see what you thought.
Okay, listen to this. I'm gonna put my phone up to this. Is him, John Podesta, singing Caillou.
Oh, I don't want to.
No.
Allegedly.
I'm just a kid who's 4. Each day I grow some more. I'm done the same thing. I'm there, something more. I'll stand.
Is that
Jesus.
screaming in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you can
That's
audibly hear a kid. You can
fucked.
audibly hear a kid yelling, "I'm just a kid. I'm just a kid."
Oh man, I can't.
Okay,
like,
well,
what the
on this
fuck?
one, like, kids scream and yell crazy shit when they're mad or throwing
Yeah.
temper tantrum, but still.
Oh, and the way he's singing it too. He's singing it like a childlike. You know what I mean? That was
Like
fucking
sinister, like
weird.
sinister, like very sinister.
That is fucking.
So where does that clip come from, though? Where's allegedly come from? Like, how did you get that?
Apparently, like someone sent it to me, and then I looked it up, and apparently some hackers got an audio file from a video, and
Okay.
apparently this is an alleged pedo video or a snuff video it's not known, but that's just like an isolated audio clip. That's what I could find. I just pulled it up, and then there's videos of him like that voice like isolated with his speaking voice, and you're like, okay, well maybe, but like I can change my voice to sound like a lot of things, so it's hard to like. That's why I say that allegedly
that scream,
but with all this other creepy shit, he's a creepy guy.
That scream is utter fucking terror, man. That's not like a kids, like there's kids in my neighborhood. I got tons of kids, and they all just fucking scream for no reason. It's what they do. It's kids.
No,
I'm always poking my head out the door, being like, "Are you fucking okay? Like, what's wrong with you? Why are you screaming?"
Yeah.
That is a different scream. That's a terror fucking scream. That's
scream. Yeah,
that like I feel fucking really uncomfortable right now, man.
See, I would like to if that scream was isolated by itself, because it's hard because the song is so sinister that I wonder if you like it just kind of like makes you feel worse. Not like I'm not saying that the scream like it screams fine. I'm just saying it's just hard. I obviously it's alleged but it's just fucking creepy, man. That's
totally,
fucking
man.
creepy video. This guy's fucking creepy.
There's too much shit that you can't just say this is circumstantial, man. There's too much to it. Like, you know what? Do you know what's 2 doors down from Comet Pizza?
No.
Besta Pizza. Besta,
What?
translated from Portuguese, means beast pizza.
Beast Pizza.
Beast Pizza. Do you know who owns Beast Pizza?
Name?
His name's Andrew Klein. Do you know what he does for a living other than being a fucking pizza owner?
What's that?
He's the director of the Human Trafficking Prosecution Unit for the DOJ.
Get the fuck out of here.
Do you know what the symbol for Besta Pizza is?
Or was?
Was? Do you know what that was?
It was a pedophilia symbol, straight out of the FBI website.
Exactly. You put the 2 pictures up. We should tweet it or release it, but it's exactly the same. Braden, if you haven't seen it, look it up right now.
So what I did, because I heard that immediately after this was released that they had a pedophilia symbol as their thing, they changed it and confirmed. I went to Google Maps. I looked up this exact pizza shop, and their logo is changed on their website and stuff. But if you go to the Google Pictures, you know, like when you sign up a business, I've done it before 3 or 4 times now for carpentry and whatnot. You got to put your pictures online in like a My Google Business account, and those are the pictures that come up when you search in Google, not your website pictures. But in those pictures, it's still the old triangle pedophilia symbol in their original pictures. So that is 100% confirmed. It was definitely changed. The debunking side of it is, as soon as it happened, they changed their sign because obviously they realized it was a direct connection. And the original artist, they just got some random person that drew it and they went with it. That's the debunking side.
Really?
Do you not think
the
that
Department of
director of the-
Justice, who prosecutes human trafficking, was like, "Oh, what? What do you mean? That's a direct link to a pedophilia thing? That's odd."
And these are the questions.
Like you wouldn't be fucking aware of that as the prosecutor.
And these are the questions. Why this is such a big conspiracy is like all the stuff adding up to at least warrant some type of at least
An
investigation, like a local investigation, if nothing else. Right? I'm sure in Washington, D.C., there's tons of missing children. There's like any big city, right?
It's now, is there hasn't been any kind of big because it's instantly been labeled as a hoax. Am I correct?
There was labeled fake news. Everyone made a comment saying they had nothing. It was a fake news and nothing to do with it. Comet Ping Pong had nothing to do with the Clinton emails. When in reality, they all knew each other. There is a connection. It was mentioned in the emails. It's crazy.
Maybe these people are just looking out for themselves because, like, did you hear what happened to that Andrew Breitbart guy?
No.
So this he's an independent journalist, and this is fucking years before the leaks.
Right.
Years before the leaks. This guy makes a fucking series of tweets basically he's asking, he's like, he doesn't understand why John Podesta wasn't already a household name for his known influences in fucking the satanic pedophilia rings.
And this guy knew about it years ago.
This guy knew he tweeted this, I think it was 3 to 5 years before the leaks. Within days of that tweet coming out, the guy dies of a heart attack.
Always a heart attack.
Well, there's
not always, but
not only that, there was, I think his name was James Crowley. He was making a documentary on Pizzagate.
Died.
And he just all of a sudden decided to murder himself and his entire family. Monica Peterson
sick stuff.
traveled to Haiti to to prove the link between the Clinton Foundation and the human trafficking in Haiti. What do you think happened to her while she was down there? Dead.
She's dead.
She's dead.
She gone.
It's
Okay.
just fucking, I don't know.
It is.
Like, I get it. Haiti is a dangerous place, but come on.
It's fucking. It's crazy.
So fucking.
I'm about to drop another one on you guys.
All right, let's hear it.
So have you ever heard of Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, the island.
Right. So he had what do you call it, like Orgy Island or something.
So-
He was convicted of running a fucking child like trafficking ring off his private jet that flew. It flew to an island. What was the fucking island called? I don't remember.
Fucking Pedo Island.
Pedo Island, whatever it was. It's confirmed through the investigation that Hillary Clinton was part of this, like 29 flights. Clinton. So Epstein was like Bill Clinton's like best friend, right? So Bill Clinton, president of the United States, his best friend goes to jail for pedophilia, and not just like low time, like he had child porn on his computer, like full on criminal, like crime ring for pedophilia. This guy goes down for it.
And like, this is not hearsay. This is real.
Convicted.
He's been convicted.
He's on the
This is
he's on the
proof.
sexual predator list. I mean, if it was anyone else, they would have probably got fucking put to death, like for anything like that. So Bill Clinton's great friends with Epstein. Clinton also knows Elefantis. Part of like the Clinton Foundation. They've had fundraisers at fucking Comet Ping Pong with this guy.
Oh yeah, not only.
But there's no connection. There's no connection at all. That's what they say.
There's proof that Elefantis has been to the White House at least 5 times.
Of course he has.
This random fucking pizza place owner.
He's a nobody. But he's also the top 50th most powerful people in the most powerful city on the planet, probably, right?
Yeah.
Really.
It's fucked up.
So, I mean, the emails lead you down a rabbit hole, and then you all of a sudden realize there's a whole bunch of connections or coincidences, as they call them, that just don't really
Too
add up.
many
That don't add up, man.
Way too many. Now, I'm not saying it's kids, but it's probably kids. Could be drugs, could be something, but I don't know, man.
Something weird's going on.
All right.
Ray, what do you got?
Okay. So let me take you on a little journey. So there hasn't been much investigation on Pizzagate, but in the late 80s, there was a very similar kind of outbreak of child pornography and occult shit that hit the news, and it was investigated. This is, if you haven't heard of it, there's a great book called The Franklin Cover-Up by John DeCamp, or there's a Discovery documentary called The Conspiracy of Silence that was mysteriously pulled before airing.
That's so crazy.
And the original documentary was destroyed.
Documentary?
Yeah, that's what I meant. It was destroyed. So the only version you can find online is a rough cut that sometimes like jumps and doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So let me try to take you on this fucking absolute mind-numbing, crazy batshit story, and link how many fucking similarities there are to this in the 80s to what we just talked about. Okay, so basically the catalyst for this coming out was on September 5th, 1982. There was a little boy named Johnny Gosch. And Johnny Gosch was a paper boy in his neighborhood in Nebraska. And he left his house at 5:45, and he was normally accompanied by his parents, but this morning he wasn't. And he had left the house, and he had got to a corner, and I guess I've never delivered paper, but I guess there's like a central courier that drops off all the bundles of paper for all the kids.
Yeah.
And all these kids go and meet. So Johnny was headed to the meeting, which wasn't too far from his house. And on the way, he got stopped at the corner. But he was in view of the other kids that were waiting for the courier. And they said this car just sat with him. And then Johnny kind of came back to the group. The car followed Johnny into the group, and he was talking to all the kids. And Johnny had said to one of the other kids who testified to this that Johnny said, "This guy's really creeping me out. I'm leaving." And he left. Now, the kids say after he left and he was walking down the road, this guy flicked his dome light in his car on and off 3 times. And one of the kids said that a man came out of the bushes from behind Johnny and was walking behind him.
Oh.
The car sped off. Johnny turned the corner and was never seen from again.
Fuck.
Vanished. Now his mom Maureen Gosh, she fucking really kept this alive. Right away, something was up. He didn't come back soon enough. She's running around trying to find him. Finds his bundles of papers. So none of his papers have been delivered. She knows something's up, right? She calls the police right away. Like, something's happened to my boy. Get to my house right now. Something's happened. It took the police 45 minutes to get to her house. In that 45 minutes, she had already talked to all the other kids. She had a description of the people. She had a partial plate. She had all this information for the police. The police came and said, well, listen, it's more than likely your child just ran away. Of course. And she's like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, the kids said he was followed. There was a weird car. Like, are you not listening? Right? Like, he wouldn't have just run away. They're like, well, we'll wait 72 hours.
How old was this kid? How old were they?
He was 10, I think, when he was taken. So she's like, okay, well, this is fucking bullshit. So she starts going out to the community, right? She's going door to door. She's rounding up people to start a search. One of her neighbors says, hey, you know what's fucking weird? I made a police report 2 weeks ago. I saw someone in a car, similar to what you're saying, taking photos of your son. And I made a police report.
What? Get out.
And they're like, the police are like, no one ever called us. But her neighbor, like, why would her neighbor fucking lie to her about that? Is like, yeah, I saw it. And they said, well, it's not illegal to take pictures. That's what the police told her.
She should have called them. I would have. Like,
she rounds up the whole town now. There's 20, 25, 30 people. They're out searching for Johnny. They're searching the woods and everything. She's waiting at home for, I can't remember for why. Some of the search party come to her house and go like, well, what the fuck? I thought you wanted our help. I thought you wanted us to search for your son. She's like, yeah, I do. What? Why? What's going on? The police chief, what's his name? Oroville Cooney. He showed up at where they were gathering for the search, got on a bullhorn and said, everyone go home. He's just a runaway. He hasn't been kidnapped. He'll turn up. The search is over. And demanded everyone leave and go home. Shut down the search. The fucking police chief shuts down the search. So now she's fucking pissed because she's like, it's 24 hours. She knows that, like, she just has a gut feeling something bad happened to her son, right? So this is all within the next day. So she goes, well, fuck this guy. I'm going to hire a private investigator. She gets a private investigator. He comes and she tells him everything. He goes, okay, well, I'm going to canvass the neighborhood. And then tomorrow I'm going to do some surveillance of the area and watch the traffic and see if there's anyone coming through that kind of looks familiar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Next morning, he's parked kind of where Johnny goes missing. He gets arrested by the police for vagrancy. They take all his notes, arrest the private investigator.
How'd they know he was there?
For vagrancy. Exactly. How did they know? They hooked him up. So the mom, Maureen Gosh, fucking pissed off. She calls the police chief, says, this is bullshit. This has nothing to do with you now. He's investigating for me. Like, he's my investigator. He's not doing anything illegal. Investigator was released. She contacts the FBI. The FBI come to her house. This is now after 72 hours. FBI come to her house and say, well, we can't help because no crime's been committed. And the police chief says that it's not needed because there's evidence that he's just a runaway. And Maureen Gosh is like, what evidence? Like, what?
What evidence?
There's not. There's evidence that he was taken. Like, why isn't anyone doing anything?
you guys obviously have not been watching the fucking first 48 because you're blowing it.
Yeah, so it's
Haven't.
They're blowing it.
mystery. Like, he's gone. We're not going to hear about from Johnny Gosh for a long time.
Yeah, because the first 48, you have 48 hours to find a missing children, or else your chances go way down.
Or to solve a murder.
Or whatever.
That's it.
Yeah.
Case
So-
closed. Done.
the one other thing happens before we jump in time. Marine's private investigator gets information from someone down the street that said a car that matched the description. She saw a car and a white van, and they loaded like a long duffel bag that was wrapped in a sheet into a van, and then they both saw the person, and then they loaded up and took off really fast. The person thought it was weird, but didn't think anything of note because he wasn't aware that a kidnapping had just taken place, half an hour earlier. She never released that information to the police. She kept that between her and her private investigator.
Yeah.
Because she didn't trust the police with any of the information because she was starting to get suspicious. So let's jump forward 9 years later. There's this his name's Larry E. King, Lawrence E. King, no relation to the famous Larry King. And between like 86 and 88, he was the fastest rising Republican. And he owned what was called the Franklin Credit Union. And he also was he worked really closely with this orphanage called the Boys Town in Nebraska. And it was basically at-risk youth and like an orphanage for, young children that didn't have, it was like foster care kind of, right? Basically, as he's the fucking Republican, his credit union loses $400,000. Just it goes missing, right? Off the books. So it raises the suspicion of the IRS. The IRS comes to do an investigation, and they find books that this Franklin E. King he had like a secret set of books where he had taken upwards of $40 million from high-profile donors and corporations, and that income is not accounted for anywhere with the credit union. Just gone missing. So the FBI, they're starting this huge investigation about this $40 million seemingly missing and what it was used for. That's when they start to get young men and women coming forward saying they know Larry King because they would attend his parties when they were children. So basically kids start coming forward and saying that this Lawrence E. King, who is a high-ranking Republican in the late 80s, would fly these kids, would take them out of Boys Town, would fly them around the states to attend these parties where normally they'd just be servers or guests and stuff. But then once the party was over, many people would return for an after party.
Oh, after
In the after party, they were forced to perform oral sex on each other, touch each other. There was photographers. They would be raped. They would perform oral sex on the guests. And basically the FBI and stuff's like, okay, well, this is kind of weird. We think these kids are full of bullshit. So they don't do anything about it. Now, this lawyer, his name is Paul DeCamp. He's a lawyer and former Vietnam veteran, and he was a former senator. He goes into basically one of these. There's this kid in jail, Paul Bonacci, and this kid admits to abducting little Johnny Gosch 9 years earlier.
Shit.
So this guy starts talking to John DeCamp, the lawyer, and he basically informs John DeCamp that, like, listen, I know Lawrence E. King. He runs this high-profile sex ring. He recruited me when I was a little kid out of Boys Town. He would fly to these parties. We would do this shit. He tells him he was forced to rape a little boy, and then that boy was murdered in a place called Bohemian Grove.
Get out.
So John DeCamp goes, he listens to all this shit, and he goes, all right, well, this is pretty outlandish, right? I don't know if I can trust this kid. This kid has some mental illnesses. He's got multiple personalities. He's got the dissociative
personality disorder.
Exactly. Yes. Right. From early childhood trauma. So he says, listen, I don't believe you. I think you're full of shit. And this this fucking kid, he's 19 at the time. He goes, well, listen, ever since I was a little boy, I've kept a diary, and I've written that diary every single day. Go to my house. You can get my diaries. I wrote everything in there. Go check it out. And this John DeCamp goes like, okay, well, I'll check it out. And if he's like, listen, if I start to get any inkling that there's some truth to this, I will see it through. So he goes and he gets this kid's diary, and Paul Benassi, he's kept a daily diary for like 12 since he was a little kid, and he talks about the sex rings. He talks about the day where they abducted Johnny Gosch. So he starts going, well, shit, there's stuff to this. This is some big stuff. So he lets Johnny Gosch's mom know, Maureen. Maureen meets with Paul, and Paul tells Johnny Gosch's mom, Maureen, details about scars and stuff on Johnny's body that have never been released to the public. And he also talks about transporting Johnny's body from a car into a white van, which was never released. And the only person who knew that before was Maureen because of her private investigator.
Oh, what the fuck?
Right? So it's getting pretty deep now. So he starts naming other kids that are in this scandal. So there's 4 victims that came forward: Alicia Owen, Troy Bonner, Danny King, and Paul. So basically, hold on, let me get a flip to my notes. They named police chiefs. They named heirs to like department store franchises, store chains. They named state officials. They named district judges. They named high-profile reporters, mayors. And Paul even pointed a finger at Vice President Bush, who said he attended one of Lawrence E. King's parties, and he witnessed President Bush receive oral sex from children.
Oh,
and he had seen him at these parties 3 to 4 times. So now it's getting
What
pretty
Bush are we
crazy.
talking about? We're talking about senior.
Senior.
Senior. So this investigator's hired named Gary Kadori, and he's hired to investigate all these claims. Gary Kadori has 20 hours of video interviewings detailing the shipping of boys and little girls around the states to these lavish parties where they're forced to perform sex acts, and satanic rituals and snuff films at Bohemian Grove. You can watch all his interviews with these witnesses. They're all released on YouTube. You can find them all.
Crazy.
Kadori makes a list, and he gets a list of 271 people that he figured were either involved, abused, or were potential witnesses. And he contacts, what's her name here? Where did I write that down? Lauren Schmidt, who was the senator, and he warned Lauren Schmidt. He goes, listen, this is actually like this is getting some ground to it. Like there's some shit going on here. It's not making sense. He said he wasn't going to turn the evidence over to the FBI because he had evidence that they were either covering it up or there was some widespread corruption that he couldn't just let this go to them. In the meantime, he's contacted by our next party, Rusty Nelson.
What?
Rusty Nelson claims that he was essentially blackmailed into being a photographer for Lawrence E. King's pedophile and snuff films with little kids. He says he started just as a photographer for the parties, and there was all these high-ranking officials, and then soon he was kind of entrapped into taking pictures of the orgies, and at one time he was approached to videotape a snuff film. He says he never came forward because of all the powerful people. He figured, who would he tell, and who would believe him?
That's right.
And like if it ever came out, he'd be in a lot of trouble. He called Kadori and he says, listen,
I'll give you the photographs. And I've kept detailed notes, phone numbers, addresses, everything. I've kept it all. So Kaddouri flies his single-engine plane from Lincoln, Nebraska to Chicago on July 7th, 1990 to meet with Nelson. Nelson says that meeting took place, and Nelson handed over all the pictures he had ever secretly kept, including notes, diaries, dates, pictures, everything. That same day, July 7th, Kaddouri calls the senator, and he says, listen, we've got him by the short hairs now. Like, I've got everything I need to blow this thing up.
Dead.
He flies home. His plane mysteriously falls out of the air, explodes everywhere. Gone.
Dead. Gone.
There's him and his 8-year-old son dead. Gone. There is a farmer witness said he had heard the explosion and then saw the plane apart in air as it came down. And officials say, no, it's more likely that it came and scattered everywhere, and just totally said his explosion thing couldn't have happened. All his things and belongings that were recovered, because everything was kind of screwing around, was returned to his wife, except all his business briefcases in which he brought back from Chicago.
Well, they would probably been blown up anyway.
Well, or they were taken.
Right.
So basically, now that these four people who have come forward and said, like, listen, we were part of this, Alicia Owen, Troy Bonner, Danny King, Paul Bonacci, they're now, they say, hey, listen, like, we were kids kidnapping kids. Like, that's what we were taught to do, and that's the life we were kind of told. So they would go and they said we would take photos of children, and we would bring them to these people, like Lawrence King and stuff, and we'd show them a catalog of kids, and they would pick the kids, and we would go abduct those kids. It gets even fucking weirder. So then, Danny King and Troy Bonner, two of the people that allege all this stuff, they're visited by the FBI, and they're like, listen, you're going to go to jail. You can't prove it. You're 100% going to go to jail. This is the day after the investigator that was helping them died in this plane crash. They go, you're going to jail for the rest of your life unless you recant your statements. Fearing for their lives, Troy Bonner and Danny King both recant their statements and say, no, we made it up. The day after Kaddouri dies in the mysterious plane crash. The FBI recruits Troy Bonner to try to point the finger at Alicia, and they have this audio phone conversation of like Troy Bonner being like, hey, listen, just say we lied. And she's like, I'm not going to fucking let these guys get away with it. I'll never say that. This happened to me. Like, fuck you. And she like she doesn't admit to lying. She's adamant that this shit happened. In court, Alicia Owen and Paul Bonacci each were found guilty of perjury and were sentenced to 25 years in jail for perjury.
For trying to bring it to light.
For trying to bring it to light.
Who gets 25 years for perjury, though?
Exactly, right? And John DeCamp, the lawyer, said, he goes, to me, this is the powers that be who are involved sending a message to any potential kid witnesses that if you come forward, this is what will happen. They tried to use Troy Bonner and pressure him in the trial, and he refused. 3 days after he refused, his brother mysteriously died, which enraged Troy. And Troy then started to come back and say, hey, you know what? No, this is bullshit. This actually happened to me. Guess what happened to Troy?
Dead.
He died. He went to hospital because he hurt his leg. In hospital the next morning, he was found OD'd in his bed at the hospital. Drug overdose. Interesting place to do drugs.
So,
then we got, it gets even weirder. So John DeCamp he's still working with Maureen Gosh, right? Trying to get this shit brought to light. Maureen hadn't heard from John DeCamp. They had only spoken by telephone. They hadn't She hadn't heard from him in a couple years. So she contacts him and says, hey, like, can we meet? She goes, yeah, of course. She meets with John DeCamp. He goes, oh, it's so nice to see you again. Like, yada, yada. Like, I can't, let's get to work. And she goes, well, we've never met. And he goes, yeah, we have. I met you with your husband. And she goes, well, me and my husband are divorced. We're not together anymore. They go through the logs. John Ghosh Sr., her ex-husband, they were with at the time their son got stolen, had started bringing a woman that looked very strikingly similar to Maureen Gosh and was telling everyone this was Maureen Gosh. And she had met with all this imposter Maureen Gosh had met with all the investigators, and they were then sending her the information rather than the real Maureen Gosh.
Weird.
What the fuck?
And the number and fax machine they were sending it to, once discovered, was obviously disconnected and could find no trace of where it was located. This is a lawyer who's like, this legit happened. Like, I'm not being crazy. This legit happened. So John DeCamp, he then tells the whole story to a man named Bill Colby. Bill Colby used to be the head of the CIA, and Bill Colby learns all the information from John DeCamp and tells him, listen, there's two things you can either do. Walk away and pretend this never happened, or you need to get so much news coverage that something can't happen to you or to look too fishy. Because there's too many high-ranking people in this, there's no way out for you. Once, a couple months later after that, Bill Colby mysteriously drowns. Dead. After learning about the child pedophilia ring.
Dead. If only there was a common theme to all these people.
So pretty much what you're saying is this Pizzagate has happened before.
It's happened before. The same shit has happened before, and it all got covered up. The people involved that wanted to come forward went to jail.
You know what's weird too? Is you want to know what it was another really commonly used word in those fucking emails that didn't really make much sense? And you mentioned it not too long ago?
What?
After party.
Ah.
That's what they think.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they think the word for the actual, like...
The event.
Event is, they call it an after party.
Yeah, that's what all the kids referred to it as. They'd be like, we go to this like dinner,
weird.
and then it's this after party.
That's weird.
Like, it's so fucked up. Like, that Franklin one is absolutely crazy. And there's people still alive attached to it who are like, yeah, no one gives a fuck. And all this shit really happened. And no one cares.
Yeah, we could have almost done another case file just on that.
Dude, the amount of connections, I could have gone on for another hour. I've got like another 25 pages of
I
notes.
feel like that story is almost even more interesting than Pizzagate.
It is because
there's more validity
like,
to it, which is nice, you know?
It started to get legs. This fucking, that Rusty Nelson guy, he said this Franklin King guy approached him with Hunter S. Thompson.
Whoa.
And said, hey, we want you to record a snuff film.
Whoa.
And he was like, "Oh, listen, I can't do that. I'm not doing that."
You can't say no to Hunter S.
And
Thompson. Whatever he wants, you got to do it.
And then it was him, Hunter S. Thompson, and this Colonel Asino, I can't remember his name now. And he was like, "No." And later on, I mentioned that Asino guy because this colonel, he was caught running a pedophilia ring out of the air bases and military bases. They found 37 child pornography videotapes and snuff films on this guy.
Jesus.
It's crazy.
Like, they're linking these names, and then these guys get caught doing other stuff, and they're like, yeah, it has no connection to anything that happened before. Like, it's fucking mind-boggling.
Okay, so
that this shit
I know you could go forever on this, but like we're Andrew's pretty much got to go here pretty quick. So back to Pizzagate. The Franklin thing is a Pizzagate from 30 years ago, which gained more legs because more people got involved. And Pizzagate, so if you think about it, the conspiracy is with this pedophilia ring. If that was under the guise of like George Sr., then you had Clinton, then you had Bush again, then it had Obama, which has really close ties with the Clintons. So you've had like, a 25-year run of the same leading party in Washington, D.C. Similar stories from then to now about Pizzagate, all this crazy stuff adding up, Moloch and all these weird, all this weird shit.
All of a sudden, Trump's not looking so bad.
Right.
Fuck.
So I know there's more on Pizzagate, but that is pretty much the conspiracy. Is that there is an elite pedophile ring pretty much controlling a lot of the Western world. And when someone finds out about it, they're silenced, discredited, or they themselves are charged with pedophilia. And one of the things they say is anyone involved in these high-ranking elite pedophile, these just elite politics, especially I guess in the DNC, in the states and in Washington, you pretty much get blackmailed that the conspiracy is they invite you to one of these parties. So if you ever squeal on it, then you are outed as a pedophile and you're just cast out of the group pretty much.
Well, imagine you show up and you're like, okay, there's the vice president, there's the police chief, there's the secretary of defense, there's a judge, there's the head prosecutor, there's this people, and then all of a sudden they're like, all right, after party, they start pulling out kids. You're like, and they're like, listen, you tell anyone, right? We're gonna fucking end you, and you're like, okay, well, fuck, who the fuck am I gonna tell? These are the heads of all these fucking powerful organizations and things we're supposed to trust. How the fuck am I gonna tell anyone?
I mean, I doubt that I bet you the ring is very small. Still, there's too many coincidences. There's too many, avenues of thought that meet up at some type of child or trafficking of some kind for sure. It's fucking...
Who the fuck wants to bring any kids into this world, man? I don't want to reproduce after this. This is ridiculous. Fuck.
You don't want to make a couple little hot dogs?
No, you mean some fucking walnuts?
Yeah.
Walnuts.
Andrews.
It's oh, man, the Paul guy talks about satanic rituals and killings of kids at Bohemian Grove back in the 80s.
Well, and then you had Alex Jones infiltrate Bohemian Grove and they show them burning, they burn Moloch, don't they? Big fucking owl statue, they burn them. And it's supposed to be just a ritual. And they do they said that they were doing mock sacrifices, but that was in 2000 or whatever.
What the fuck is wrong?
And that's a real thing. People go to Bohemian Grove, they go there and they know
Alex Jones.
I think Alex Jones started out just like us, kind of.
Well, because he's taking too many of those amphetamines he keeps trying to sell. To everybody.
You know what? The thing that's a whole other topic about Alex Jones. They're silencing him. They're eliminating free speech,
which is all they're doing. Is what he said they were trying to do.
Exactly.
Which is fucked. That guy is a fucking lunatic. That's fine. He has some interesting things to say, but still, they're just doing what he said they were trying to do this entire time. They did it.
He's called them out. I bet you he's right about some stuff he's wrong, 100%. But this guy's, the nature of who that guy is everything's a conspiracy. But some stuff he's getting right. Guaranteed.
He's fucking exhausting, but still.
Yeah.
There's obviously some validity to what he's saying.
Anyways, anything else about Pizzagate? I mean, there's more. There's talks about it's debunked by saying there's no basement at Comet Ping Pong where supposedly that's where the murder room is or whatever.
Elefante has mentioned a basement in fucking...
In multiple things.
Yeah, he said that's where they store their fucking tomatoes and all this shit is in the basement.
See, and I bet that's all code. I don't think it has anything to do with the actual physical pizza shop location. I think that's a code. There is probably a basement. Tomatoes is probably another code word for some shit.
Yeah, maybe.
If there's a basement, he says in another article that his other shop, what's that? It's a
fish and tackle
shop, which is 2 doors down. He owns that one too, and he said in articles that they store stuff in the basement there. And then I looked on Google Maps. It's the same building. There's four units in that building. It's Comet Ping Pong, Best of Pizza, that hunting shop, and one other one. And it's all in the same building. So if there's a basement in one, you're going to be guaranteed there's going to be a basement. That's going to be a basement complex.
And they all fucking connect.
And that's you start going down theories of underground tunnels between Best of Pizza and through the basements. And I don't even know. But
I wonder if that guy changed his name to that.
To James Elefante?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, I also looked up on Best of Pizza. It says that location is now permanently closed.
Thank God.
But there's another Best of Pizza now. It's I don't know, a few blocks away or something. But whatever it is, man, there's just connections all over the place. And then you go to the conspiracy of silence. The same thing happened then. People died. People died who did this, and no investigation. So in order for a conspiracy to be on like this type of magnitude, everyone's got to be in. At least some of the heads of all those different departments. You know.
That being said, we do not believe Pizzagate's real at all, and
Yeah, do not come after us.
We're not saying anything. We want
It's
nothing
all
to do with
alleged.
it. It's alleged.
So please take the risk and go research for yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're not hearing anything from us, all right? I don't want to
I'm
die.
not making
Do it
no,
from a
no
don't do it
conclusions.
from a work computer. You'll get the red screen for sure.
Yeah.
But it's like this one's crazy because like one, it's hard to do research because you're like, okay, well, to do research you have to like you're like, I don't want to type in this shit. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're like, oh, it's fucking weird. Like it's such a fucking bad thing in society. They make it's so hard to even like look up things for it.
I'm burning all my notes.
And it has like a lot of this stuff has legs. That's the crazy shit. Is it has some legs.
Man, there's convicted child predators that were friends with the president of the United States, who's also friends with the owner of this pizza shop. So they're all connected. They all know each other, right? They all know each other. And this fucking like it's crazy. Epstein,
They all, they're in the
convicted.
same circles.
They all
It's
knew.
crazy.
They flew on his jet with him. I don't know. That's all I got to say. Go hashtag look it up for yourself because fucking bananas.
Or don't. It's kind of depressing.
Yeah. Either way.
Hashtag carefully too.
Yeah. Very carefully.
Is
Use a public address.
Yeah. Yeah, it's listening, watch the documentary, Conspiracy of Silence. The first time I'd heard about the Franklin one, it was on the podcast Sword and Scale. Listen to them. They're awesome. I think it was like, it's one of the early ones, like 8 or 9 or 7 or something. One of those early. They go into real detail on the Franklin case, and it's absolutely chilling. And then it's chilling to listen to the Pizzagate stuff and realize how many fucking weird similarities there are. It's just weird, creepy.
Super creepy. Andrew, you got to go?
Yeah, man. I gotta
We'll
work.
finish off the reviews and stuff without you if you need to go. It's all
That
good.
works for me.
Go save some lives, buddy.
I'll do my best.
All right, take it easy.
Andrew's out. Yeah, dude. Let's get in some. You got any new podcast reviews?
I think so. I'm not sure. It might be a double read, but I'll read one at least. Terrifically eye-opening and puts you at the edge of your seat by Dustin Langray from USA. This podcast is awesome. It really opens up your mind and makes you think about what's going on out there. Artificial intelligence taking over and extraterrestrials exploring Earth are my two favorite subjects here. It also makes me happy that they use profanity. It makes it fun. Some people don't think so, but some people get really upset when we say fuck. They pretty much leave the show. I can't get enough. Keep it up. 5 out of 5. I think that's our only new one on.
I think we actually had read that one,
Did we?
so it's okay. Double
You gotta
up.
double up.
What about Zell's Prolapser of the Week?
Oh, I do got Zell's Prolapse of the Week. Let me pull it up here. It was on Twitter at Lindsay06850596. She found us on a road trip, and she's been loving it and telling all her friends. And that's exactly how the show grows, because we don't advertise. So keep doing what you're doing. What else we got? Oh, I got to read some new Patreon supporters. Woo woo! If you want to get early access to our stuff, it's our only way to keep the show going because we don't use any ads. So support the show. Fall's coming up, and we got a lot of things on the go. It's gonna be great. We got Brian, Aria Abrego, Angela Yuci or Yuchi, Ronnie Bao or Bo, Cole Gomez. That was one of our friends from AlienCon. Thanks for supporting the show. Clark.
I wore the shirt the other day at the gym and I got a compliment.
Oh, hell yeah.
She knows what that's.
Yeah, they're dope shirts. Clark the Keg, Jeffrey Wilcox, Mary Hart, Avis Lee, Larry Johnson, and that's all the new ones. So that's awesome.
All
You
right.
guys fucking rule. What else we got?
I think that's all. So as we like to say,
Keep those eyes on the skies. Thanks, guys.
Peace.
After the hours. I have a good idea.
I love ideas.
I think now that we're so far ahead, I want to start doing
Far
I
ahead.
don't know what it'll what
Far ahead on what?
far ahead, like we've got like 75 shows.
Oh yeah.
I want to do I don't know what we'll call it, but it'll be Patreon only. So if you're listening to this, Patreon only. It'll be called like we'll call it like
Baseball fans, BetMGM is giving you the chance to win a prize every day during the baseball season. Step into the batter's box for BetMGM Swing for the Fences free-to-play game. Pick any area of the strike zone and take your best swing. If you get a single, double, triple, or home run, you'll receive a prize. Smash a home run to collect a bonus bet on us. Just log into your BetMGM Sports account to get started. Then visit your promotions section to access the Swing for the Fences free-to-play game. You'll score a prize if you hit a single, double, triple, or home run. There's nothing more exciting than going yard, so swing for the fences with the king of sportsbooks. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only, Iowa only. Existing customer offers subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards vary depending on market and expire 24 hours from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.